Hi everyone, my name is Alisa Tilsner and I am a Stampin' Up demonstrator in Australia. This is part 3 of a 3-part series on colouring the apples from the Apple Harvest Stamp Set. So we have done apple number 1 and apple image number 2, and now we're going to be working on our final one. So if you have missed parts 1 and 2, I will link to them in the description so you can go back and watch those ones first. And because this one, I'm just going to get straight into my colouring. Stand up, make sure I'm in screen. Okay, so again, we are going to start with our wet watercolor wash. I just call it a watercolor wash, and we're just going to go lightly over our apples. Now, these ones are quite round apples, and I have seen somebody actually paint them orange to turn them into oranges, or you could do mandarins, or not lemons. Lemons are a completely different shape, but you could try one of the other citruses because these ones are quite a round apple. So again, just our first watercolor wash goes down, and then we're going to pick up our darker colors and just once again follow the artist's drawings. Okay, and then we're just also going to do a really fine line around the leaf for a bit of shadowing, and then blend them into the middle. So you can see that each of these techniques for each of the apples is always the same. And you can add as much depth as you want, add as much colour, depending on how rich you want your apples to look. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and do all of these. Of course, when they dry, you get really nice like watercolor marks on them. I'll bring back in the other images afterwards. So if you like the watercolor line look, like I find it really hard to explain. Like sometimes you'll get a harsh watercolor line, but I quite like that with some of the images. You can smooth them out if you like, but I quite like them a little bit more of a rustic look. Okay, so this apple under here, it will probably be quite dark because we've got a lot of shading going on. We've got shading down here, and we've got a lot of shadow from leaves and the other apple sitting over the top. So here will probably be a little bit darker with just a tiny little bit of light. Okay, so we don't have any flowers on this one, so we're going straight into the leaves. Now these will take me a little while because there's so many of them, so I might actually speed up the process between each one. So of course the first is always to put down our watercolor wash. So I am going to go ahead and do that and probably speed up this process because it's all the same. And I have just discovered that I've just coloured in a bit of that apple green. There's actually another side to this apple, so I'm just going to fix that up. There we go. You wouldn't even know I coloured it in. Okay, so our second wash over, oops, and I've missed another leaf there. So our second wash is going to be the darker one, so I'm just going to squeeze my ink pad again just to get a lot more colour happening. And this one I will do the quick version as well because there are so many. Of course, if you want to, you can spend more time and put more detail in it, but because there's so many leaves, I'm actually just going to do my squiggle down the middle. And when I'm doing this, you can see my brush goes on, stays on, and I just sort of zigzag down the center of the vein. Pulling rather than pushing is easier because you don't tend to split your nib, but I'm trying to keep my image in one place so I'm not turning my card around. So, but if you can pull rather than push, it will be a lot easier. And you can see that my nib is actually getting wider and wider. So just pull it together if that starts to happen. And of course you can go over this a third time if you like, or you can even pull in a third colour. You can do Mossy Meadow over the top if you wish. A couple of leaves behind, we'll just add a little bit of extra to them. There's another one. Oh, and I've done what I don't like to do because I can't swing my card around. I've got it all over my fingers and now it's on my card. So be aware of that as well. I'll probably be able to hide that with my balmy blue, which is another good reason to do a background. But if you're cutting it out, you could get away with it as well. Okay, make sure I'm still on the screen. Okay, and then our crumb cake, really easy. So I tend not to put too much time and effort into things like stems and branches and stuff like that if they're in, like, they're not a focal image. So I just enough to put down some color. I don't usually spend too much, unless of course the branch is a focal image. But in this case, our apples and our leaves are more the main image than the branches. Okay, and then again, you could leave it like that. You could cut it out, or you can pop your balmy blue behind. And this one's a little bit trickier, so we just want to go in behind. It is quite watery, so it will give me a nice puddle look. Okay, and then we can drag that out. Might be able to cover that bit. Okay, so where you can, flatten your brush out and drag that colour. Just try not to get your greens mixed up. Okay, I'm just about done. And of course you can soften all those edges out if you decide that you want to, if you're die cutting like a rectangle or a circle or any other shape, you can just fizzle that colour out. Like so. Okay, so that, I'm just going to stand up and pull back a little bit. So there are my 3 colours. So you can see that there's not, I think I've spent about 10 minutes per image, maybe not so much for the apple, but you can see that they're not too difficult to colour in, to give you a nice water, and I quite like that rustic watercolour look that I've got going on with this one here and this one here, especially that back apple. So I am actually running a mini class by mail with these, and I'll just quickly show you the cards. So just really quickly, so we've coloured in each of them. So this, if you are taking it, then you can follow along with the colouring. It has open for registration. Registration will be closing on the 21st of August. So there is still time. That's for if you live in Australia. If you don't live in Australia, you're overseas, then I do have a PDF tutorial of just the instructions that you can purchase from anywhere in the world, and they are available all time as well. So they will be on the website as well. I'll put a link down in the description. And I think I was going to tell you something else, but now I can't remember. Anyway, so I've got the 3 parts of the videos. I'll put all of the links to them all in the descriptions. So hopefully you have enjoyed this colouring tutorial. I hope you got a little bit out of it. Let me know in the comments what you think. Except my boo-boo, but we all make them, don't we? So let me know, and let me know if you have a play and you, yeah, so any feedback would be welcome. So thanks very much, and we'll see you again soon. Bye.